If you somehow haven't seen, over the past few weeks, I have been busy building my brand new theme park in Planet Coaster 2, called Discovery Studios, with a lovely studio entrance into this huge building that you pass through a portal in to make your way into the central area of the park. And from there, you can then enter 5 different worlds that are going to be built over the next 18 episodes. And today, as revealed in our last episode, the first area begins, that being themed to Formula 1, the motorsport racing series in real life. And you've got these Formula 1 cars that do of course follow track layouts in real life, so it's pretty easy, and there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to making that into a roller coaster or ride. And we're going to have a lot of fun building our first ever roller coaster in this episode, so be sure to watch till the end so you get to see a work in progress POV, and be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes of this series, because there's so many more exciting episodes to come. I mean, you barely know half the story, you only know one portal, there's 4 more to come with loads of rides and roller coasters. It's going to be a great series, so yes, stay tuned for that. Here we go then, the first roller coaster in the park. It's episode 3. With my previous park, we actually had built the first coaster in the first episode, so a bit behind on that front. But as you can see, this is in the Formula 1 area, and we're going for this ride type here. You might be thinking, Vekoma rotating coaster? Guardians of the Galaxy is the only one of them that really exists in real life, and that's all indoors. What's the plan here? Well, I'm using this coaster type, but not for its intended purpose. I'm actually turning this into an Intamin drift coaster. Now you might be thinking, why on earth are you doing that? This is clearly Vekoma track, but the new generation Intamin track is not far off from looking like this. And why am I using these trains? Because they can fully rotate round, which means we can make it drift side to side at points on the layout. Now, of course, Formula 1 cars don't usually drift. They only drift if something's gone wrong, I guess, or if they're sort of doing a pirouette, whatever. But I thought it'd be a really cool concept. Instead of making this really tall and fast launch coaster like you see at Ferrari Lands or Ferrari Worlds, whatever, I want to make something different, so I thought the drift coaster would be a really cool idea. And I've not built one of these coasters yet. I know, again, not intended purpose, but it's still building that coaster type, and I really can't wait to show you the finished product so far, because, well, obviously in Formula 1 they race. That's pretty obvious. My unique idea on this ride was to, instead of making an obvious racing coaster or 2 dueling coasters sort of thing, where, oh, it's a Formula 1 race with side by side 2 different creds, that would have been a cool idea, don't get me wrong, but I wanted to do something a little bit more challenging with this one. So instead of dueling with another coaster, there are going to be points on this where it duels with itself. You might be thinking, how does that work? Well, we'll get onto that in just a moment, because you can see that first launch there into that turn. That launch is going to have another one side by side with it on the same coaster layout. So once you've been through all this, you'll go into another launch on that straight, and you'll be passing under the lights where the finish line is and everything, and you'll be going up with the other side of the track despite being on the same coaster. You've gone through there a minute ago, now you are on the other side. I just love that idea. I feel like you can't have a Formula 1 coaster without showing the racing aspect in some form. I didn't want to make this too fast or too furious. No, pardon the pun, I know I'm making a drift coaster, so technically it is a bit fast and furious, but I also didn't want to make it too tall or too punchy or anything like that. I wanted to make it a decent ride that families can enjoy, but it still goes upside down and has a bit of speed to it, but also represent Formula 1 in the racing aspect. And I felt like the only way I could do that with this one coaster is having it go side by side with itself. You'll see riders that have just gone on one side of the track now be on the other. As you can see here we go. And they perfectly time, which I'll show you in real time when we go later on. And when I had the light bulb moment of that sort of dueling aspect already being done on one coaster, I think that sold it. I was like, yep, that's what I'm going for. Of course, you can see me here putting in another launch. This ride does have 4 launches on it, which I know is crazy. But Formula 1 cars, obviously, there's a lot of speed in there, so I have had to make some little valley launches as well just to keep it going along. And the whole theme of this ride is that you are pretty much going around a racetrack. Now, of course, round a racetrack, the F1 cars, they are not going upside down and doing barrel rolls, valley launches and stuff. If I made it like an actual F1 track, it would be the most boring ride ever, because you would just be going around flat turns and the laterals would be like, oh, I'm sliding in my seat sort of thing. I don't want to do that. I want to make something a little bit more unique, as I've done here. So you're going to be diving in and out of the track into sort of grassy areas with trees, and even like the pit lane and everything. You're going to be going into the actual building, so you're going to see so much more than you think you will on this ride. It's not just going to be tarmac and, oh, there's an apex there, oh, there's a bit of grass, bit of gravel. No, there's going to be so much more than that. You're going to be diving in and out of places. I just want to capture the essence of a racetrack, you know. I love Formula 1, of course. They race at many different circuits across the world. The main one I love going to anyway when I do is Silverstone F1 circuit in the UK. I love that place. Even if I go for like the British GT or just some like Silverstone Festival, some old car racing, stuff like that, I'll try and go whenever I can, because I love that place. And to try and capture that in a theme park area is something I've always wanted to do. I've done videos in the past of trying to turn Alton Towers or Thorpe Park into an F1 track. I've always wanted to make something Formula 1 based in Planet Coaster especially, and here we are. So it's really cool to be combining two of my favourite interests together, and I love that so much. So Formula 1 wise as well, there's going to be so much more just racetrack stuff in here. I'm basing this off of Silverstone quite a bit. As I mentioned, I love that place, so I thought it'd be rude not to. As much as the actual coaster itself and the pathways around won't be in the layout of Silverstone, because that would be pretty mad to be able to do that. Maybe one day I will do that. Maybe one day we'll build a theme park or a roller coaster in the same layout as Silverstone. That'd be quite cool. I'm just venting my video ideas right here. But I wanted to make a very similar sort of vibe with the buildings, and maybe have like grandstands and stuff around. Just have that nice racetrack feeling, you know, when you go into this area here. And I want it to feel alive when you walk in as well. I'll show you later, but there's some ambient audio as you walk in. Like, there's so much going on. Can't wait to show you the finished product, because this is not the only ride in this area as well. There's going to be some like smaller flat rides towards the back, and a massive dark ride over to the right. We've got a huge space to use for a warehouse, so I thought that'd be really cool to utilize that for a huge dark ride. And let's just say it's not going to be your typical dark ride again. We're going to go for something a bit different. It's not a coaster, but it's sort of getting there. And that's all I'm going to say, because when I tell you how I'm going to do that, you might be a bit confused, but it'll make sense when we get to that in the next episode or two. But yes, as you can see, putting the brake run in, that section I actually built over there. I haven't really talked about the coaster much. I need to get my priorities straight. The bit where it's just crashed from over in the background, that section that goes around the inversion after that like valley launch type thing, I've actually gone and changed that since this time-lapse was filmed, and I've actually, the bit I'm smoothing there, the outer bank and stuff, I've gone and changed that to a nice like sort of S-curve that goes underneath that huge corkscrew. So then again, if the timing's correct, the actual trains will duel, and you'll see one go over the top and one underneath. I thought that'd be really nice. And talking of trying to get it to duel, now is the time where I actually do try and get it to duel and get it working properly, which does take a lot of effort, but we get there eventually. The track colour for this, I was going to go for some vibrant colour. I don't know what you guys think, but I could change one side to red, one side to blue. I know obviously they're the same coaster, but I'm talking once you get past a certain point it turns blue, then red, whatever. Tempted to do that, but for now I'm keeping it as just a black track, because I feel like the trains are more so the Formula 1 cars, and the black can be the asphalt, just sort of tarmac road. I feel like that's the best way to do it. I know I'm colouring the trains there black, but I need to put some pieces on it, because we can make the trains different colours. We can make one like a red Ferrari, and the other a Mercedes, a Red Bull, a McLaren. Like, we can do so much with this stuff, and I really can't wait to continue building this area. As you can see, stopping on the block zones there should all work fine. The only problem is the swing launches. The swing launches? I wish that was on this ride. The valley launches themselves, when they would stop on that in real life, it would have to swing back and forth. That doesn't happen in this game, so have to sort of make sure that the coaster doesn't stop on those valley launches. But we're getting there now. After that second launch, I don't know if I said, but there's like a very longed out corkscrew / zero G stall underneath the first launch turn, if that makes sense. So you'll see that, and I think this is actually, yeah, this is real time here. Here you go. You'll actually be able to see the updated section. You've got all the pathways in. I've done all that now, and here's the updated section where it goes under and over. There you go. I thought that'd be quite nice, It's just a bit of fun, Like, Formula 1 cars can't do that. And there's that launch. Look at that. You've got the right one that goes a little bit in front. And then because of the speed that it's got going into that launch, it actually brakes quite a lot towards the end of the corner. Which I think is great, because I think the first launch is that you're speeding up and you're going to that pace that a Formula 1 car reaches. But it's quite cool to get the actual feeling of the braking zones as well, because obviously they have to harsh brake from God knows how many miles an hour, 200 miles an hour, 180, all the way down to 60 in a matter of seconds. So it's quite cool to get that sort of braking feature of those cars in this ride, because you'll see when I POV it later, you actually do go on that launch and just sort of slow down a bit and then keep that pace. So I think it's really, really cool. But that's going to be our main straight, adding some like advertisement boards, which I'll properly do with logos. I won't bore you with making them because they take forever, out of small little art pieces. And as you can see, putting some gravel in. These are literally some market apples that are in the game. Very, very good use. If you scale them all the way up, or even keep them the way they are, they can make some really cool like pebble effects or gravel if you want to use that. That's my tip for the day. As you can see, just filling that in. I'll change all the terrain and stuff underneath that as well. And my idea for this ride, so the entrance will be near that corkscrew after the second valley launch. Bit confusing, I know. The entrance for it will be underneath that corkscrew, and you'll be able to see it going over you. It'll actually crash through a building at some point there as well, because it's going through the pit boxes and everything like that. So you'll walk around the track a little bit, get to that entrance, go through the queue line, in which you will be inside the pit boxes, and there'll be loads of theming and stuff in there, and it will be very much like a garage sort of thing. And then you'll go into a little bit where the ride area is, go up some stairs and head over the start lights for that main straight right there. I can't wait to show you, once this is fully done, how cool it's going to look. It's going to be so much like a racetrack, and I'm really excited to get it all done, because you've even got the tile walls there that they often have to stop crashes and everything. Don't have to go mad realistic with that, because there's not actually a race going on, but we like to put those tyres in anyway. But yeah, going over those start lights and being able to look down at the two coasters running next to each other, see all the grid boxes and everything. I'm so excited for this entire area to come together, because on that side as well, I'm going to build it in a little bit, there is actually going to be a grandstand. And I don't know whether I'm going to put the ability for guests to sit or stand in there yet, but there definitely will be some grandstands around the area that you will be able to sit in. And very similar to that of like Red Force, when you used to be able to, I say used to, you still can. I'm thinking that's been imploded, not King the Car, but you can sit in that grandstand and enjoy the view of the ride launching off. I think that'd be awesome. As you can see, getting those massive boards put in place again, right over the top where the start-finish line is. And then on top of that, it's going to be the queue line, and underneath is going to be the start lights that you'll see whilst you are on the ride. But here goes the pit lane, actually. I decided to add this purely because I think it's more realistic to have it, and you can queue up in it and everything. You can sort of hear the coaster going past in the background. Thought it'd be quite nice, so I've decided to actually include that. The pit lane, of course, where they go to pit, if you didn't know. So I thought that would be quite nice to have in there. And as you queue up, you can sort of see through down into that sort of pit exit and pit entrance, and maybe there'll be a few animatronic cars or something in there, or just animatronic people, I don't know. We will see how it goes. But yes, loads of barriers going in. The theming of this area, it's pretty simple, but at the same time it needs to be done properly so it is realistic, if that makes sense. So it's no like detailed theming here and there, but as long as you've got those tire walls, the gravel, the apexes, like the curb and everything like that, I genuinely think it is fine. Like, I don't think you need too much detail in an area like this to actually convey what I'm trying to get at. So as you can see, the lights went in there, and it just looks really nice. It looks like a Formula 1 track so far. Obviously, a little bit smaller of a Formula 1 track. Maybe they wouldn't race all 20 cars on this, or 22 next year, very excitingly. But yeah, they've got extra start lights just in case the back of the grid can't see. And then the pit lane, as you can see, putting a concrete block in where a lot of the teams sit, so there'll be some stuff there as well. But as said, not everything is going to be complete in this episode, because very much a work in progress episode. I know a lot of you guys in the last episode just want to see a coaster being built. Me too, don't worry. So I thought it'd be amazing to just do an episode where we build that coaster and build some of the theming around it, get a good idea of what we're going for here, and then next episode we can build the rest of it / that new dark ride, which I'm very excited to unveil. Thank you guys so much for the support on this series so far, though. Like, genuinely wasn't worried about it per se, but after Isle of Discovery, I remember making that park and being so happy with it in the end. And a lot of you guys said some very nice things about that park, which was great. And I was a bit worried about doing an IP-based park, but a lot of you guys seem to be right behind it, which I really do love. Thank you so much. And I really cannot wait for this series to continue. I'm loving seeing the speculation of what's next as well. There's one area in specific that a lot of people have speculated that is definitely coming, so that was very vague, but if you want to try and work that one out, then I can't wait for that either. I think that might actually be the next area we're doing, depending on certain things. But there we go. I'm very, very much looking forward to that. Moving on, of course, as you can see, more walls going in around the pathways and around the coaster itself. I've sort of realised, obviously, these barriers you've already seen across are quite tall, and they're quite obviously racetrack looking, which is what we're going for, but also they serve as really good ride area fencing, because right here you're going to be able to see the coaster going past really close to where you are, but obviously that barrier is going to be in the way, yet you can still see through it. It's not a proper fence, and as you can see, making that corner there, I was just going to fill it with walls, but it's not realistic to the actual racetrack sort of vibe we're going for, so I made that into a bit of a corner right there, like so, colouring some of the walls as well. And as you can see, this is when we start the grandstand on the other side of the start line. As you can see, a little bit skew at first, but we managed to correct it. And I'm, again, not too sure whether this is going to be accessible to guests. I think it might be. I think it'd be really cool just to have that view where you can go up and just sit down on the grandstand, and maybe if your family is going on the ride and you don't want to go on it, you can go and sit there and watch them zoom past twice through, maybe on the other side. That would be quite a cool little thing to add as well. And then here's that queue line over the top of the start lights. What a view that would be if that was a queue line in real life. Can you imagine just queuing over that start light bit, seeing one side, the two rides just going like one of them barrel rolls under the other, and then the main side itself with the lights, and them launching together alongside each other, one trying to catch up and trying to overtake. Oh, what an incredible piece of engineering, if I do say so myself. But that's the later stage of the queue, because you're going to go up those stairs and then enter, well, you would have gone up those stairs after you've been through the entire pit lane and sort of pit box area where all the garages are, and you're going to be going through there, zigzagging, doing some cattle pens here and there, going over the track, that swing launch. I keep calling it a bloody swing launch. It's a valley launch. Get it right. And then sort of just poking into the actual pit lane itself. And that's where the entrance will be. It'll be a small building there. Nice little archway. And then you'll enter into the full pit building. This section here, after that start light crossover, you're then going to pass very close to the grandstand. So you will get quite a cool view. Obviously, the people that are in the grandstand who aren't riding, I could make it part of the queue, but I think that would be a bit silly, because you're losing the opportunity to have just general guests sit there and just have their lunch or whatever. I wouldn't want to make that part of the queue line, so I've done that. So you go right behind, and you'll enter the grandstand from probably the side. That's probably what I will do. But there's some more white lines going in, very vital part of the track to keep things separated. In the pit lane, you know where you're going to go in, enter, I guess, and loads of other stuff. Smoothing over one more time. It's probably one of the smoothest coasters I've made, and I'm actually going to show you a work in progress POV in just a moment when we go into real time. And here we are inside of the park. As you can see, Discovery Studios looking amazing as always, again, if I do say so myself. But we're in the central area with the lovely fountains, and I haven't named this area just yet because I've just been more focused on the actual F1 area itself and that coaster, so I will get to naming them towards the later stages of this area. Because yes, as you can see, I didn't film the actual process of building this because I put it at the end in that little teaser last time, just as a nice montage of it being built. But as you can see, you've got the F1 cars up there, custom built. Those pieces are from the actual ride vehicle of the Intamin Accelerator coaster that has an F1 car as its ride car. Mostly using those pieces, and I've actually gone and added them in different formations and everything, and added a halo as well, which the F1 cars nowadays have. And I think that does look pretty similar to a proper F1 car. For Planet Coaster 2 anyway, because I could make them out of small little art shapes and stuff, but the piece count would just go sky high, so I think they do the job. Got this building over on the right with the red arrows coming out of, again, very much inspired by Silverstone, because that's very iconic, and the roof shape of that building in Silverstone is very similar to what I want to go for here. I do actually need to turn up the audio on my desktop, because as you can hear, there is some music, some ambient music, and a load of sound effects of Formula 1 cars going past. I love that. I'm going to try and do it for every single portal we have, but as you go in, you can sort of hear the F1 car noises, and they're going to get gradually louder as you go through, and then you're going to be in the area like we're going to traverse into now. And as you can see, our eyes are going to adjust. There is the coaster directly in front. Now, of course, there are no fences or anything around me right now. There's no trees, so we can just see back of house stuff. Oh, I can catch the bloody train from here. But I thought it'd be nice to do an episode where I've built this coaster and I've sort of showed you the plan with it, and then next episode we can go and theme it up and start that dark ride. So yes, you'll come through the portal, pass over the checkered flag line, and then make your way onto the racetrack, which is literally positioned right here. We're on it right now. There's going to be loads of curbs and loads of this sort of stuff over here, as you can see. All the tyres, and there's the start-finish straight right there. I do need to change the lights a little bit because I need to put some red and sort of green on them. But as it goes, for a base version of this, I'm really happy with how it's turning out so far. And you can see the two trains. There they go. Two cars, sorry, racing along like so. And I've put like barriers and stuff up so you won't be able to hop straight into the ride area. I'm probably going to have to put higher barriers because I don't know if this is illegal or not. You can see all the white marks for the pit entry, and of course the curb over here as well. And I think it's worth, before we head into the queue line and sort of show you the on-ride, talking about what's going on with the rest of the area. So obviously my plan is to have a building over this queue line, so sort of the pit lane building, and then we're going to have maybe some buildings opposite and a few like car things, maybe a museum of some sort, I don't know. And then over here in this huge location is going to be where the dark ride is, the huge show building for that. It could literally reach up until the train station. It doesn't matter. It won't be a very tall dark ride, so the show building doesn't need to be massive, but I want to make it look really, really cool, especially at the facade right here, because I think this is where the facade is going to be. You've got this nice opening here that goes into each side of the track, which that bit definitely needs to be blocked off, because otherwise you can literally just go and walk on this bit. But that'll have barriers once again, and then obviously it will make its way down here. So yeah, having a dark ride facade right here I think is perfect. And then over here, which is another section of the area, we're going to have some flat rides, maybe a junior coaster running around somewhere like this way. More so some rides for the family, because I don't think this coaster is necessarily a family coaster. It's more of a family thrill coaster. The dark ride's definitely going to be a family dark ride, but I feel like having some kids flat rides in here might just make the area feel a lot more whole, because I can't lie to you, there's one area out of these ones that is going to be pure thrill, and I am excited to make that area. But with that being said, of course the ride entrance is directly in front of us. I am going to expand out this little plaza area, and we're going to make a proper plaza for this as you enter inside the pit building. And as you can see, it very much doesn't look like a pit building so far. This bit looks like the pit lane, sort of. But you literally go over this section of the ride here as well, where it goes straight underneath and then goes into that inversion there, and then that's when you'll make your way up these stairs, and you make your way above the start finish straight. And as you can see, there go the coasters, or coaster because it's only one, and there it goes right there, dueling for the short amount of time it does. Drifting as well, I forgot to mention that. Of course it is an Intamin drift, so it does drift occasionally, not too much, and then they go their separate ways. But here we go. This is the little bit of queue just over the grandstand, so you get a nice view that way as well before stepping onto the ride. And as you can see, we're going to click Ride Rotating Coaster 1, which again, this doesn't need a name, so any suggestions, please do suggest in the comments. And I'm going to give you a work in progress POV. As I said, work in progress is a very key word there, because obviously it's not done yet. So expect the full thing to look a lot better. But here we go, into the first launch, and we're racing the car next to us. Nice little turns there, and then we head down, drifting this section. There you go, little S-curves. Very low to the ground to keep that Formula 1 car feeling, but also make it thrilling. Because you can't really have a Formula 1 car going 300 foot in the air unless you're Red Force. The Valley launch into that huge corkscrew. Quite a slow corkscrew there, more of a hang time based inversion. And then into that next launch. There we go. And we got the semi-zero G stall I tried to make, but didn't really turn into one. It was more of a corkscrew. Some nice overbanks, very close to the pathway there. And then into the pit box. Over another inversion. And then this is where that dueling element happens again. Where you could look up and see the other train. Drifting slightly. More airtime hills and just some nice swervy turns. Before making your way into the brake run. Not the most amazing ride in the world, it's not supposed to be. But what I feel it does do is act as a very enjoyable ride that many people can enjoy. And it won't be too sickening, too thrilling, but just enough, which I really, really like. So yes, so far it may not look like the best Formula 1 area in existence because it's not exactly a Formula 1 area right now, it's just tarmac and white lines. But think of the whole area to look more like what this bit here does with the walls that are even unfinished themselves, the gravel traps, and of course the tires and everything like that. There's going to be so much detail to make it look like a proper racetrack and shouldn't take too many pieces to achieve. But yeah, there you go. This is my first roller coaster in the entire park, and hopefully that also gives you a good insight of how much space I'm planning to take up with each area. So they're not huge areas, but they are a good size. Once again, any name suggestions for this ride or the area as a whole or anything else yet to come would as always be greatly appreciated, and just let me know what your thoughts are on this coaster. Hopefully you like it. Hopefully you don't not like it. Thank you for watching this episode of Discovery Studios. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the next one next week. Goodbye.